Nigeria, and came into Canada in 2006. Uh, Back then, it was a lot more tougher to get into the medical profession here. There's this, uh, like the programs, we are referred to as international medical graduates. So when you come into the country, regardless of the training specialty that you may have had as an international medical graduate, you would have to be back in the system and be retrained in quotes. So you sort of have to get back into residency and get things going. And we had a series of exams. I had attempted the first exam. I had a study group as well. And I noticed there was a lot of my colleagues that had even finished up all the exams that would come help us with studying and, go through the process with those of us that were just getting in. And some of them had finished the exams 3, 4, 5 years, but they hadn't had an opportunity to get into the system. So it was one thing to have your exams going, it was another to actually be able to match, like we call it, in which case you may have 10 spots available and you have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 applicants. So what are the odds? So that got me thinking, hey, how about I start considering something else? And I've always loved to be able to reach out and talk to people. Well, my medical profession allowed me to be able to relate with different types of people. So I love connecting with people, talking to people, and helping people. So I'm like, okay, if I can't help people in the medical field, there must be other opportunities out there for me to be able to provide needs and help people as well. My immediate older brother at the time was a businessman. He ran a car dealership back home in Nigeria, and I got into it with him, and I was very interesting. So I found that as a quick avenue to get things going for myself. So I got into the car automobile industry as a salesperson and a manager at some point. Uh, we had I worked with we set up an independent dealership here in Canada. Um, I managed that for some years, and then I moved on to General Motors. I worked at GM dealership as a sales manager as well for some years, and just before COVID. But along the line, well, I got into real estate, dabbled into it um, with family and friends. So we would buy properties, do some renovations, flip the houses, make some money, and it got pretty interesting. And there was always a very interesting part of it that really struck me, which was the idea of getting the finances for the property. Because you could love a property all day long, but if you cannot finance it, then you cannot get it. So I'm like, okay, this is a backbone of real estate, and I kind of got very interested in that as well.
Mm.
This is a major hurdle a lot of people out there have to cross in terms of putting shelter over their head as well as investing. So I had that at the back of my mind, but I just did not pull the move for some time. Like I was to say, I was fine in the space where I was. I was a sales manager. I was making good money, and COVID came.
Mm.
So at that time, the initial lockdown was 3 months, and
That
we
three
all had
months
to stay home.
led to 3 years, right?
Exactly. So we all had to be home. So that time frame got me thinking.